In 2009, when I first started publishing the SJS Direct imprint, the first book that I published was titled All About Marilyn. This is the paperback version of All About Marilyn right here. Um, right here is the paperback version. And the reason why I published All About Marilyn was because I wanted to discuss the struggles of African American actresses in Hollywood. At the time, when I had written the screenplay version of All About Marilyn, that's the paperback that I published, um, there was a lot of talk about black actresses not getting quality roles and quality scripts in their hands. And from the research that I had done before I wrote the story, I had learned that, there weren't that many black screenwriters. Out of about 20,000 screenwriters in Hollywood, only 500 are black, and out of that 500, only 2% of them are working at any given time on a production. And this is what I had learned from my research, and this was what I learned just learning about, how the query process for screenwriters and screenplays, and because one of the efforts I wanted to do was to make efforts to write quality screenplays for black actresses. Um, when it comes down to the African American actress, she is at the bottom of the totem pole in Hollywood. In most cases, screenwriters do not want to write scripts for black actresses because they are the least bankable by the Hollywood standard. There is a hierarchy in Hollywood when it comes to screenplays, and screenwriters write according to this hierarchy. The first person they usually write for is a white male. The second person they write for is a white female. And the third person they write for is a black male. And the last person they write for is a black female. Usually they don't like writing scripts for black females because it's a poor return on the investment for a screenwriter, because you have to take a lot of time to write a screenplay. And the big problem is, it's hard to sell a screenplay when you write a black character, a screenplay with a black female lead character. I'd even say it's next to impossible to sell this script because um, when it's time to greenlight these type of scripts, they are the least bankable of all the screenplays. A lot of theaters don't like to distribute films with black female leads, um, and a lot of production companies don't like to put a lot of money on these films because, one, they don't do well in the American market, and two, they don't do very well in the foreign market. Um, Comparably, films with a white male lead, you may make twice as much money. And also, when it comes on to the greenlighting and pitching stage, you may get a much larger budget. For example, a film with an A-list white male, that film is going to get a 150, $200 million budget, whereas a film with a black female lead, you might get anywhere from $8 million budget to a $16 million budget. That's a studio film. An indie film, you might be able to raise maybe $3 to $5 million. It's a lot less money, and the screenwriter, looking at his payday, because his payday is 3 to 5% of the production budget. He's looking at that $200 million superhero movie or that $200 million action movie as a script that's gonna pay his bills versus the script written with the black female lead. He's not really going to make too much money on that script, especially if she is the complete lead in the story. If she's the main character in the story, that script is not going to do as well, on the production side, on the behind the camera side, when it comes to selling. Now, I like watching black actresses. I've seen a lot of great performances from, actresses like Sally Richardson Whitfield or Tia Mowry. Even Halle Berry sometimes back in the day, she used to be very good. And I really like, I said that they just like, you really want to write a good script. I said a lot of these actresses could have really elevated themselves with the right script. Um, and that's one of the reasons why I wrote All About Marilyn, not only to discuss the struggles of black actresses in Hollywood, but to also, you know, write that quality script. Because when it comes to African American film, most times nobody really puts together, that rock solid story, that is on the level of many classic films. And when it comes down to storytelling, there's often something missing, because when it comes down to stories, especially about black female characters, they're often underdeveloped. They're not. There's not much depth to them. There's not much real range for a black actress to use things like her face to convey emotions, or to really there's not much there for the character for you to give that humanized performance, because the script is very shallow. And that's what I've noted. That's what I noticed back in the day when I was doing research for All About Marilyn, and I was doing research on black film. That a lot of times the scripts are, especially when they're being written for black females, they're not really written too well. I mean, even in so-called classic movies like You're Waiting to Exhale, or your other stuff, what's the other movies? There's a couple of other ones. They're not really written with a lot of depth to them. There's not really a lot of story elements like your symbolism, your irony, your foreshadowing, um, you know stuff that really makes a film stand out and really makes you think about what you're seeing on screen and how it relates to your life and the lives of other people. And you really don't see that in scripts written for black females. I mean, again, a lot of these screenwriters, whether they be black, white, whatever color they are, when it comes down to writing a character for a black female, the role is very, very poorly written, or very underdeveloped. The characters are underdeveloped, no depth, no personality, so they really don't stand out as compared to a role written for a white female. When they write scripts for white females, the role is often written with a lot more depth, a lot more complexity. You get to see different, when the performer looks at the script, there's a lot of range here. I can play a lot of different emotions. And with a good director, you can really bring stuff out of the script. And because there's stuff in the subtext between the lines of the story that the reader can see. And that was one of the things I tried to do with All About Marilyn, is have that, that subtlety, that subtext, um, that depth for that multidimensional role. And what I've gotten from the feedback from readers is that they see the multidimensionality, the depth and the complexity in the Marilyn Marie character, and they see, the subtext the literary elements that are between the lines of the story, and that these elements are very strong. And that's not something we really get to see a lot of when it comes, to African American actresses on screen. And when we do get, when we get these type of movies, oftentimes we get these type of roles. There are these slave roles, or or these mother roles, and they're not. And I always looked at that as very limiting, because it really does not show you the range of a black actress. When I was writing All About Marilyn, I really wanted to write a rich, complex character that was humanized, but I wanted to put it in a setting that more people could relate to. Because we don't really. I mean, Hollywood itself does not see black women, you know, on the equal level as the white woman, and they'll take it like they'll take a script like in All About Marilyn, and this has happened many times. That when you have a complex character like this, they take this script, they buy it from the screenwriter, and then they have their guy rewrite it, and then they cast a white actress in the role. But when I wrote All About Marilyn, I wrote it to really specifically talk about the issues that black actresses face, and the problems of getting good quality material to a black female lead. Because again, like I just stated before, if there is quality material, what happens is that script is purchased from the screenwriter. Again, it's the right, because when you sell a screenplay, you sell the film rights, and what happens is it's the property of the studio now. So they take said script, they commission another writer to write the script, rewrite the script, and then they cast a white actress in that role, and that script does not wind up in the hands of a black actress. Um, and this is one of the major plot points in All About Marilyn, because what she tries to do in the story early on in her career, because she was working on a sitcom similar to The Fresh Prince of Bel Air and Clueless, and she was getting ready to try to elevate her career by doing feature films. She tries to bring on a black screenwriter. He's a production assistant. He has a screenplay. She tries to help him pitch his script because it's a meeting for her developmental deal, and she decides to bring this guy in, and they tell her that the script is too urban. This happens a lot of times. With black screenwriters, they get told your script is too urban. They tell the black actors that, you know, that this is too urban for you. We want you to do something, a little bit more contemporary. These are the type of words, your Hollywood executive will use. And oftentimes, what they call contemporary is a Jezebel role or a mammy role or your best friend role. And this is very problematic, for African American actresses, because the material, you know, they could play these type of roles, but because Hollywood is so racist and white supremacist, they don't want people to see, black people, black women in a humanized light. And because I really think that if people started seeing these images on a regular basis, they would start thinking of black people differently. And that's something white supremacy does not want you to see. That's why we see so many, Jezebel roles, mammy roles, and even black female coon roles these days, because Hollywood that's what white supremacy wants to promote when it comes down to the image of the black woman. And with the All About Marilyn script, I was trying to, show a different picture of black people, because we rarely ever hear the stories of black actresses. I mean, we hear about the A-listers, but we never hear of the stories of the working actresses, or the struggles of what they have to deal with, in auditions, go-sees, and things like that. We never see a picture of their life or anybody trying to tell their story. And after I did the research back in 2004, 2005, 2006, I started writing the script in 2007, and I really wanted people to understand, these struggles, because we always see these black actresses on the cover of magazines, um, or on Entertainment Tonight or shows like that. They're there for a little while, then all of a sudden they just disappear. And one of the reasons why they disappear is because they have no access to quality material. And oftentimes they wind up stuck, doing direct to video. In a lot of cases, these sisters wind up doing direct to video films, and again, the scripts there are not very good, because a lot of times they are forced. A lot of times these guys are not very good screenwriters, and a lot of times they just don't have the budget to make that film quality. Sometimes they do have the budget. Sometimes you have a good imaginative guy, and he can put together a quality film. But a lot of times these small production companies just we get stuff like Tyler Perry does. It's not written very well. It's not really complex. And then he gets this actor who has a good name and stuff, but because the material is so bad, they can't use it to elevate themselves, and they can't use it, to show people something like, oh, that's that person. Because when you have a really good script, people they turn their head and go, that's so and so. Not, oh, it's just another, black movie. They go, oh, that's so and so, and what's he saying in that story? And that's one of the things that I try to. That's one of the things I would like to see in black film more, but we don't see it because there's really not a lot of craft, especially on the story side, because people usually take screenwriting for granted. They don't understand, how important a good quality script is towards making a good quality movie, because the screenplay is the foundation of your movie. That's the blueprint for how you're going to make the movie. And the other reason why I published the All About Marilyn screenplay book, besides helping black actresses in Hollywood and talking about black actresses in Hollywood, was to help further get more African Americans interested in screenwriting, because we don't have enough. black screenwriters. Again, like I stated earlier in the video, again, we only have out of 20,000 screenwriters, we only have 500 black, and at any given time, only 2% of them work. And in quite a few cases, a lot of these black people are working as diversity hires. And what is a diversity hire? That's a black screenwriter who was just put on a production just to collect the paycheck, so that the studio doesn't appear racist. He's just a token. And we really need more people behind the camera, because what happens is our image winds up being, when we make our image, when we present media in our image, it's a totally different picture than when it's made by the liberals in Hollywood. Because if you look at the picture of what we're seeing in black Hollywood today, the image of black people presented, by these sellouts, like your Tyler Perrys and your Shonda Rhimes and your Lee Daniels, the image of black people has been, it's been dragged through the mud, and we really need some black people out there to create some counter programming to this, and create some images that are completely positive and show black people in a humanized light. Because what we're getting all the time now, is a nonstop minstrel show. We're getting, these negative images, and it's really, I think, affecting how, black people are seen. And the reason why I believe it's important to present positive images of black women, especially, is because black woman, again, is a transmitter of culture, and she teaches her children, what it means to be black. And when she sees negative images, and she's bombarded with your negative images, like your Scandal, like your Monstrous Ball, like your Precious, and even like your Empire, and all these other reality shows, what she tells her children is, you can go out and be a minstrel too. And instead of you learning how to be a humanized person, a multidimensional person, with a sense of humanity, you just don't see yourself that way. And I feel that we really need, again, with black film, we really need to see a much more diversity when it comes to images of black people. That's another reason why I wrote All About Marilyn, is to talk about, diversity of images of black people, because we don't get other stories told. All we get are the same stories all the time when it comes, to black film. And that's the same old, civil rights movie, historical civil rights movie, like your Butlers, your Preciouses, your Selmas, or we get, your relationship movies, your Kevin Hart type movies, or we get your jive hustle movies, or we get it's the same movies over and over and over again. And I'm the kind of guy, I like to write stuff that's really out of the box, stuff that's really different, and I know that there's an audience out there for it, and I'm just trying to reach that audience, because I know that people, whenever I present them with a script like All About Marilyn, they really enjoy it. I've gotten lots of positive responses from people all over the world, not just black people, but white people, people in the UK, people in Germany, people in France. They identify with the Marilyn Marie character, they relate to her, and they connect with her on a human level. And that's something that I was surprised to see when I first published the paperback edition, and when I started distributing the ebook edition, I was even more surprised to see even more positive responses from people. There's clearly an audience, as I've seen, for a film with a black female lead, that presents her in a humanized light, but it's just a question of who will produce it, because I've seen it from the feedback for All About Marilyn and the companion book, All About Nikki, which features the episodes of the TV show that the Marilyn Marie character was on. When I did the scripts for that show, there was incredibly positive response, even bigger than All About Marilyn. The Nikki show, international response was incredible. I mean, Poland, Japan, Canada, United States, Mexico, as I said, UK, France, Germany, all over the world, people love that Nicky Desmond character, and they love the comedy because it was, again, it's a hybrid of Fresh Prince and Clueless. They really enjoy reading those stories and hearing about a black. They don't even care that the character is a black female. They enjoy the quality of the scripts. But one of the things I tried to do with this, I really wanted to present that positive image of black womanhood in this script. I really, because it's about, this faded film star who has to have the strength of character to reinvent herself so she can adapt to a changing world. She had to go out and start her life completely over after she leaves Hollywood in this story. And the story is a commentary on Black Hollywood, but it's also a story about a black woman taking her image and controlling it and deciding to move forward. And that's a story that I really wanted to tell in this story, and this story I really wanted to share with the larger audience. That's why I went out and self-published it as the first book in the SJS Direct imprint, because it was a story I really believed in when I was writing it. Now, I have learned some, counter information over the last couple of years, because, Madison Avenue and Hollywood are trying to promote this false idea, of white men with black women, and in all these pictures you often see, these black actresses with these white men, but you know, behind the camera, it's a totally different world because we often see these black actresses, some of them, A-listers or B-listers with these white men, but you know, none of these guys are trying to, elevate these black women or get them picture deals, get them scripts, or get them the support they need. When you look behind the camera, the people trying to elevate the image of black actresses are black men and black male screenwriters and black producers. They're the ones doing most of the work trying to get black actresses jobs. But Madison Avenue in Hollywood will have you believe that black women, black actresses are dating white men or chasing white men. But and some of them are dating these white guys and getting involved with them. But on the business side, none of these guys are trying to get pictures greenlit for black actresses that are so-called black actresses who are dating white men. When they go to do business, they go to deal with a white man, and not a white man, a black man. They'll date these. I mean, the white guys will date these women. Some of them will even marry them. But when it comes on to business, they go to the Black Prodco for work, or they go looking for a black script. Um, Not they don't go looking for a black script. They go to a Black Prodco looking for work, and they go to auditions at black production companies, and it's black production companies that are the ones hiring a lot of these black actresses. And so it's just sad that a lot of people buy into these false concepts. That black women want white men in Hollywood, and that white men are doing so much for the black actress, and that's not true at all. Again, the number one employer of black actresses um, are black men and black male production companies, and in order for them to work at the black male production company, they have to go get a black screenwriter. In most cases, they have to go get that black screenwriter. So the only people trying to elevate the image of the black actress in Hollywood are black production companies and black screenwriters like myself. But the way white supremacy will sell it to you is telling you that, white men are doing so much for black actresses in Hollywood and that they're just dating them and marrying them. And that's not true at all. As a guy who's been studying the entertainment industry since I was 7 years old, the guys making most of the deals to elevate the image of black people are other black people. And the ones that are being promoted by white supremacy as the image, as the promoters of black film and stuff, are like your Lee Daniels, your Tyler Perry, and your Shonda Rhimes, are the ones who want to promote images of black people that fit the model that white supremacy wants to see. Um, that's usually what's being promoted these days. And the sad part is there are a lot of great black films out there, a lot of great scripts out there, and they're not getting pushed to the forefront because this is not what the mainstream media wants you to see. This is not the image of black womanhood that they want you to see. And usually, what they want to see again is your Precious, your Monsters Ball, your Help, um, your Scandal, your Empire. This is the type of these images are all stereotypes. They're not humanized. They have no multidimensionality. They have no complexity. And if you watch a film with that type of multidimensionality and complexity, when it comes to a role, you'll see a complete difference. Like I have, I've seen many films, where black actors play humanized characters and multidimensional characters, and it's a completely different viewing experience. It's a different, and when you read these stories, it's a totally different story. And we really, again, like we really need more scripts like this because a lot of people, again, they complained about the Selma Oscar snub, and again, the stories started to become repetitive. It's a good movie, but it's not some. I look at Hollywood. The Oscars should not be your barometer for any type of quality, but African American film has really hit. It's stalled, and it's been stalled for a couple of, well, for the last 15 years now, and we really need to produce more different stories like your All About Marilyn's, and really bring some diversity to African American film because African American film has gotten stale. It has gotten boring. We do the same movies over and over again, and it's time for us to do something different because we really need to show different perspectives of the African American experience, different pictures, and break out of that monolithic narrative because we only, as I've looked at African American media, we've only gotten one view and one set of stories about the African American experience. And I feel in the 21st century, it's time for us to start telling different stories about ourselves and our culture and our history. And that's one of the things I try to do with the All About Marilyn script. Right now, All About Marilyn is now available in All About Marilyn here is available in paperback on Amazon. It is also available on Amazon Kindle as part of the Kindle Unlimited program. You can borrow the ebook if you have Amazon Prime for free. And it's a great screenplay. You'll really enjoy it. It's a very positive story about a black woman finding the strength of character to move forward in her life. And it's going to give you a great perspective on the entertainment industry as it relates to African Americans and the image of African Americans. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.